Today, Chargers news does not feel like background noise. It feels like pressure sitting right in your chest. Because when you look at this roster, you can feel it. Los Angeles is way too close to something real to treat camp, the market, and player development like little details. Today we have a young player fighting for room, a veteran who could turn into an opportunity, a forgotten defender stepping into the light, and a running back carrying the hope of changing the whole face of this offense. Drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and come with me, because this script is about turning promise into real answers. The first name brings pain and hope at the same time: Tre Harris. And I know a lot of people will look at his rookie numbers and say, slow down, it was only 30 catches, 43 targets, 1 touchdown, and 10.8 yards per reception. But that is exactly where the Chargers' read has to be sharper than the lazy outside reaction. Harris did not step into a clean situation. He came in as a second-round pick, landed in a bad offense, fought for room with more established names, and still had a rookie development path squeezed between competition, scheme, and adjustment. The temperature changes now. Mike McDaniel arriving to reshape the offense is not just another name on the coaching staff. It is a real chance to spread out space, rhythm, motion, and targets. And when you look at last year's target list, the detail jumps right off the page. Keenan Allen had 122 targets. Ladd McConkey had 106. Quentin Johnston had 85. Orenday Gadsden had 69. Harris had 43. But Allen's 122 targets are out of the equation. Not all of that goes to Ladd because he was already heavily involved. Not all of it goes to Johnston. And the Chargers did not make a major addition to change the wide receiver room. So when Tyler Sullivan from CBS Sports looks at Harris as a second-year breakout candidate, I totally understand the logic. The frame is there. With a 6'3" receiver, the opportunity is starting to open. His second offseason is not about the draft, the combine, interviews, and learning how to breathe in the NFL. It is about refinement, trust with Herbert, cleaner routes, stronger timing, and knowing where to attack a defense. And the emotional part is this: Chargers fans are tired of watching young talent become nothing more than pretty talk. But Harris has a real path to change that feeling. If he absorbs part of those freed up targets and McDaniel puts this offense in better positions, what looked like a quiet bet could turn into a jump the AFC actually feels. I am not saying he is already a star. I am saying the space he needed may finally be showing up, and a talented player with room around Justin Herbert deserves everybody's attention. But while Harris represents youth rising, the second story pokes at an uncomfortable question. Can the Chargers trust internal growth alone, or do they need to find a ready-made piece for Herbert? There is a huge difference between saying the wide receiver room is not broken and pretending it is already complete. Ladd McConkey is already a real weapon. Harris can grow. Johnston still has explosiveness. Gadsden can earn more volume. But when the game tightens, when the defense takes away the first throw, when third down becomes a body fight, Los Angeles still needs somebody who can win with strength, hands, and calm. That is where DeAndre Hopkins enters the debate as a market opportunity, not as a savior, not as prime Hopkins carrying an entire offense by himself. The read is different. A veteran who knows how to work the boundary, win with positioning, attack contested balls, survive when the route is not perfect, and give Herbert a reliable target in the red zone and under pressure. This part really sticks with me. Sometimes the right move is not the loudest one. It is the one that keeps the offense from running out of answers in January. If Hopkins is still available near camp and wants to choose a competitive situation, the Chargers should be making that call. A franchise quarterback, an offense trying to climb another level, a roster that does not need a show, but does need maturity in critical moments. That fits on the field, in the locker room, and in the kind of season Los Angeles is trying to build. The fit does not need 1,000 tricks. It would be a free agent move, a smart contract, a low-risk bet, a camp competition signing. The kind of piece that arrives without breaking the structure and changes the quarterback's comfort level. Herbert could have McConkey working inside, the young receivers stretching into bigger roles, and Hopkins as the target who does not panic when the play gets messy. That changes the defense's posture. It forces coverage to respect one more threat, and it gives the offense a toughness that sometimes disappears when the game gets heavy. To me, Los Angeles at least has to make the call, not to chase a famous name, to protect a competitive window. The AFC does not forgive an offense that enters December relying only on projections. Developing Harris is essential. Believing in the young guys is fair, but giving Herbert a tested veteran could be exactly the kind of detail that separates a promising offense from one built for real pressure. From the flash of the receiver room, the conversation drops into the trenches, where so much of a season gets decided before the camera even notices. Jamaree Caldwell may not be the name that makes fans stop everything in the middle of the afternoon, but he should be on the radar of anyone who understands how a defense grows. As a rookie, he played 525 snaps, For comparison, Tre Harris played 526. That is not a small workload for a defensive tackle taken on day 2 or day 3. That is real responsibility, and his finish to the season left clues. Over the final 4 games of 2025, Caldwell had 3 pressures, 9 tackles, and 6 stops. It is not some wild explosion on paper, but it is the kind of stretch that shows a player starting to connect his body, speed, and read. Ben Solak from ESPN picked Caldwell as the Chargers' breakout candidate, and the argument runs heavily through the arrival of Dalvin Tomlinson. With Tomlinson bringing weight against the run, Caldwell could get more chances to attack the pocket as a penetrator, especially if he is used in alignments that free up his quickness. That matters because the Chargers' defense already gets attention on the edges. Khalil Mack and Tuli Tuipulotu naturally pull eyes. But a truly dangerous defense does not survive only on outside pressure. It needs to push the middle, disturb the quarterback's rhythm, and create traffic right in the pocket. Caldwell had 8.5 sacks across 2 seasons at Houston before going to Oregon, so there is a history of production when he is not locked into a traditional nose tackle role. I like this kind of bet because it does not feel manufactured. It comes from snaps, roll, and fit. If Chris O'Leary can organize this line with Tomlinson drawing attention, Tart holding strength, and Caldwell getting more freedom at 3-tech, the defense gains a new layer. Bolt Crew, drop a straight read in the comments. Does Caldwell become an impact piece, or is it too early to put that kind of weight on him? Because if that interior starts creating real pressure, Mack and Tuli will benefit, and AFC quarterbacks will absolutely feel it. Then we arrive at the name carrying the most emotional part of this script, Omarion Hampton. Every Chargers fan knows there is a difference between having a good running back and having a player who changes the identity of an entire offense. In April of 2025, Joe Hortiz took Hampton with the 22nd overall pick out of North Carolina, after 2 ridiculous seasons with 3,759 scrimmage yards and 33 touchdowns in 25 games. That is not a normal resume. That is a player drafted to give the offense a new face. The problem is that his rookie year got chopped up by the brutal reality of the NFL. Najee Harris had arrived to form a 1-2 punch, but went down in week 3 with a torn Achilles and missed the rest of the season. Hampton dealt with his own injury trouble, playing at the beginning and end of the year, but missing the middle of the campaign with a fractured ankle. Even then, in 9 appearances, he put up 545 rushing yards, 192 receiving yards, and 5 touchdowns. Christopher Knox from Bleacher Report noted that over a 17-game pace, that projects to 1,392 scrimmage yards and 10 touchdowns. So calling Hampton the Chargers' top building block does not feel exaggerated. It feels like recognition of something fans saw in flashes and wanted more of. He barely appeared in the playoff loss to New England, playing only 2 snaps, and that leaves a bitter feeling. Not because he failed, because the team never truly gave him a full, healthy season with a stable line and a mature offensive plan. The setup is different now. Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater should be healthy. The interior of the line got help, including Tyler Biadasz at center, and the Chargers used 4 of their 8 draft picks on the offensive front. Add Mike McDaniel, who helped maximize Devon Achane in Miami with second-half adjustments in 2025, and you start to see the vision. Hampton running with more space, catching in motion, attacking angles, punishing tired defenses, and taking weight off Herbert's shoulders. That is the part that makes me believe. The Chargers do not need Hampton to be just a pretty fantasy number. They need him to become an identity, a 1,000-yard running back, something this team has not had since Melvin Gordon in 2017, would change the conversation around Los Angeles. It would not be Herbert putting out fire after fire. It would be an offense with ground game, control, clean violence, and the ability to close. And honestly, if Hampton and this line stay healthy, I do not see why that explosion cannot happen. The feeling today is simple. The Chargers are surrounded by opportunities that cannot turn into empty promise. Tre Harris can take targets and grow. Hopkins could be the veteran connection that protects Herbert. Caldwell can bring pressure from inside. Hampton can change the entire body of the offense. So I want to hear from you. What matters more for Los Angeles? Developing the young guys all the way through, or bringing in more experience before the season starts? Subscribe, leave your comment, and stay with Los Angeles Chargers news today, because this ride is really starting to heat up. Bolt up!